those teams, like you said, they've moved their way through loser bracket every single time to take over the victory. Here we are, TSM Myth and TSM Hamlin's on the left, FaZe, Tfue, FaZe, Cloaksy on the right. Where are we dropping, boys?
Well, I got to say, Myth is ready to go with the raincoat on just in case the weather ends up taking full advantage here. Is it going to rain on the beautiful Fortnite map? We're going to see Tfue and Cloaky. Looks like they're headed toward Seta.
I got to say, the hoodie, by the way, is there, so whenever they beat FaZe, the tears won't affect them. That's all I'm saying.
And as you can see, Sleeves, otherwise known as Hamlin's down there, still getting deeper and deeper up the bicep as the matches continue. Very excited to see if we see him in a grand finals reappearance.
Oh, sorry.
What's wrong?
You thought that wasn't him, didn't you?
I thought that wasn't him. I was like, oh, no. Someone just beat him to the drop, and I was about to be so concerned. But as you see, so this one thing I wanted to point out, we talked about this a little earlier. There used to be several different items up there if you'd go upstairs in Salty at 4-story and already getting a nice knock there, picking up a shotgun at the beginning. But with that reduction of floor loot by 33%, we've seen, at least I've noticed while playing, there's been a massive drop in overall weapons on the ground that you can find, and sometimes it's a bit hard to find something before someone else does.
Yeah, and one thing that I want to point out regarding both of these squads, right? When we talk about the top organizations in Fortnite right now happen to be TSM and happen to be FaZe regarding their placements and especially our Friday Fortnite tournaments. Both of these squads, right? FaZe versus TSM has happened 5 different times in our Friday Fortnite tournaments, even going back to May 25th tournament, where essentially in order, right? They met up in winners round 1. TSM ended up taking that first exchange. Regarding the same tournament, they later faced off again in losers semifinals, where FaZe ended up taking that particular series. Next week, they face off on June 1st in loser semifinals. TSM took down FaZe.
Ooh.
However, in last week's tournament, they actually faced off against one another twice. FaZe took them down in both scenarios in the winners finals and also in the grand finals when TSM made their way back through losers, where FaZe took both of those series also. So right now, FaZe versus TSM regarding all of their series added up together, FaZe leads right now their overall series count 3-2.
And also, too, they're the only team to win in terms of they've won $20,000. It's a lot of money.
And we saw that amazing donation, too, from Tfue from last week's winnings that he actually made from the prize winnings, which is awesome to see. Once again, Fortnite bringing out the positivity here in the community across the board. We're going to see if they can potentially get a three-peat out of the losers bracket, or will TSM shut it down here?
Indeed.
We'll definitely have to see what, in fact, is going to happen, But just piggybacking off that point, I love the charities. I love the fact that the first tournament, $3 million, all given up to charity.
Oh, there's a shopping cart!
And a shopping cart is down, bringing in some groceries, and in fact, it's going to bring 2 players. Can he finish him off? He will take some damage, does get one knock, but that other player is like, I'm out. And he goes ahead and runs away behind the house, but of course, Myth is going to be in close pursuit, as he's going to definitely want to take it, and boldly taking that the little mini right out in the open. Knowing there's a player right there, but a great leap over the house. But of course, hopping on board with Myth, as you see, they are currently spread apart. Myth over in Dusty Divot. We talked about the battle pass. There's now at a chance out there to get a chest in there, of course, to pursue your battle pass and upgrade it even further. So Hamlin's is going to find a lot of people out there who's going to be going over there for that challenge. Just for that, but they split pretty early on. It's kind of interesting.
There's just a player on Myth's screen who happened to be right behind the garage, just like, all right, if you find me, you find me. And it happened to be that Myth, in fact, did do exactly that. So,
default Danny Peekaboo, as I like to call it. They just appear out of nowhere. You're not even and this is actually this is what's really funny is when you see pro level gameplay. Obviously, if they have any sort of inkling of where you might be at on the map, they're going to be able to take you out. But one thing that I always love to see, especially as we get deeper into this Fortnite competitive scene, is when you start to see these open teams start to come out, their strategies are usually so different from what the pro-level landscape is. So you might be seeing somebody hiding in some of the weirdest spots here in major tournaments coming up soon, just because people aren't really adjusted or used to play styles yet. Remember, we're playing full lobbies full of randoms, just like it would be if you were booting up and playing. Now, what happens when there's 100 other Myths and Hamlins and Cloaks and Tfues out there? What's the play style going to be? Are we going to be seeing more passive plays? But hopefully not. It's all going to depend on basically how that format is for the tournaments themselves. And as we got a sneak peek this week as well. I really love what we're doing with Friday Fortnights, but we saw that it's still pretty high intensity, especially those last few teams and those last matchups and engagements.
Yeah, and I know one thing too regarding the recent patches and whatnot. We talked about the ability for having 100 Myth and Hamlins, 100 top level pro players going up against one another. The amount of building that gets involved with that, and I know a lot of pros and a lot of even community members as well were like not a fan of the recent additions, the recent changes with the amount of resources available, the amount of materials available, as well as we do see here Hamlin's taking down at least one and nearly the knockdown on the other. But I'm actually kind of a fan, honestly, with the lack of resources kind of coming into the game.
Really?
I think whenever it comes down to having 100 players all seeking out those materials, all trying to build up as much as they possibly can, I think it's going to be pretty chaotic. Of course, we talk about duos, a much different story, but I don't know, man. I'm actually a pretty big fan of the recent change regarding the materials. I think it's actually going to balance the game out a lot more than people realize off the bat. And like I said, Epic Games, they have a great track record. They know what happens in their game, and I think they're going to, whether or not this decision lives up to what they want, they're going to change it based on what they see. So honestly, I think for the competitive atmosphere, I know pros necessarily aren't in the greatest of limelights. I think it could definitely improve, which we know it obviously can and it will, but I'm honestly super excited for the future. But I am a big fan of the recent material change because of how chaotic I think that it can be at times around the map, considering how many pro players we're going to be having roaming around with the amount of materials available, etc. I think it's going to be a little bit too chaotic in prior.
Right, and with less materials, right, less chance of seeing those stalemate builds. So we're looking at more engagements and gunfights versus just kind of watching your Taj Mahals and Eiffel Towers being built throughout the entirety of a match. And that's actually one reason why, at least on a personal note, I really like the C4s, because when you get in those build battles with people, you're able to just destroy that entirely. That kind of adds an entirely different element, right? BR pretty much is a surprise anyways. You could start the game and die immediately, or you could make it to the end pretty much just as easily, one or the other, depending on the situation with your drop and what kind of loot you're receiving. So adding in that element of C4, I really don't think it's too big of a deal. I mean, I can't see why pros obviously wouldn't want it because of the current meta for building. But as we're seeing resources becoming, lessened, especially obviously, in the llama, it was 500. Now we're at half. And I'm not saying I cry sometimes when I open the llamas now these days, because I really do miss getting that blessing and finding it hidden on the edge of a beautiful mountainside. But we see these players adapt once again, week by week. Every little change they're used to, so whatever the next meta is, we'll see it. You see the heavies out right now. 2 weeks ago, wouldn't have seen one of those bad boys in anybody's hand.
Yeah, we see a very tight game so far, and of course that's to be expected between TSM and FaZe. And during all that, we saw Hamlin's get a team wipe. We also saw the FaZe boys get a team wipe as well. But Myth now is in a little bit of trouble, taking some damage. He's going to be at 55 health, and he's going to have to build up. And of course, high ground so incredibly important. And what a guy to get the high ground is in fact going to be Myth, because Myth knows that he is the ultimate builder. That's what he's regarded for, as well as his editing skills. And just like that, he's already above his opponent. He's going to go ahead and get some shields in and come down for the attack. We see that building, and he does take some fall damage, unfortunately. He does get some shots off. He knows he needs to go in for the attack, and that player incredibly weak. And finally, he is in fact going to drop down, but this player is very slippery, in fact.
Great
finally,
knock.
He gets the knock and the finish to kind of get some more resources in his back pocket.
Yeah, and I believe we actually do see a knockdown right now. Top right of our screen, Cloaksy has been dropped for the time. Not officially eliminated as of yet, but Tfue valiantly trying to watch over his squad mate. Unfortunately, has to drop him down below that pyramid in that situation. But yeah, going back to that play coming in for Myth, as Hamlins does fund the elimination. Myth, right, what we talked about with TSM regarding their overall play. Myth, of course, the in-game leader, the captain for this squad as well, constantly communicating and always kind of preaching what is the high ground advantage. Any play that you watch on TSM, any engagements, they're immediately building up and then engaging. They're not trying to go and meet at you from ground level. They're not trying to be at the same height as you. What they're trying to do is try to kind of gain that high advantage and go for the engagements from there. We see a great job coming in from Myth in that situation, but it looks like the impulse grenade coming through from Hamlin's has the opportunity to take one down, but does take the fall damage, doesn't have the opportunity to get the recovery build, and now in the top left of our screen, it's going to be Myth, does find the knockdown despite the FaZe players nearly surrounding, hounding that last player alive. Myth happens to have the pump shot from a few meters away, takes the kill, and is also trying to seek out where future players are lingering. Where are they hiding? The ramps are being taken down, and Myth, as a part of him, takes a little bit of a jaunt there on the bounce trap and drops another as well. Myth, an absolute killer. While not having his teammate Hamlin's up, he is finding these eliminations and making him look so incredibly easy. But talk about a player, man. I mean, this is unreal stuff that we're seeing coming in from him. The FaZe guys are here. They're lingering around. Hamlin's is down, and for the most part, Myth is doing this all by himself. He's literally a solo man. Takes down another back-to-back-to-back eliminations. Myth, the human highlight reel at the moment, making it look easy, and should be able to successfully get this res on his teammate Hamlin's, who thankfully found a little bit of a recovery inside that bush.
What a play from Myth. I mean, you're talking about overall play style. We saw a lot of different things there. We saw the pump come in with the heavy shotgun. We also saw him building up. We saw him healing while he was observing the opponent. But as I say that, Tfue drops himself. Now, Cloaksy has to pull a Myth and come in and try and save Tfue. He does get the knock, but is there a player lurking in the shadows? He's going to go ahead and build up, but he doesn't go for the res just yet. He knows someone is around, finally building up. He's going to go for it, but of course this is kind of risky as we see now. Myth, he's going to come in. He knows there's players still around there, and he's going to take advantage of this downtime while Cloaksy is in fact going to be, or excuse me, Tfue is going to be resing Cloaksy. So with that being said, can Myth pick up some much needed kills?
Now that's going to be 14 now for the TSM boys versus 9 here from the FaZe guys. Of course, you're going to see Cloaksy getting another drop, and as they start to funnel in, TSM finally meeting up with them in Divot. 13 engagements left in this game. To be honest with you, it's still anybody's game one in this tournament, especially here. Are we in the just losers semis or... Where are we at? Quarters. Losers quarterfinals. Okay, so we've got a lot of matches left. Of course, the winner of this going on to play Dr. Disrespect and company in the next round. So a lot of interesting matches still left in the tournament, both on the winner's side and the losers, as we're going to have a grand finals with literally what could be 5 teams. I mean, it could be any one of the 5 teams, 6 teams that we got competing.
Whichever one made it through. That's for certain. But, of course, we're talking about Dusty Divot as the zone, or the storm, rather, starts to move in, kind of acts as interstate, right? You grab those hop rocks, you can immediately hop toward the city of your choice, and it seems that they're going to be having to make their way south for the winter. No, but of course, just trying to advance themselves, trying to find as many players as possible, also kind of playing that gatekeeping role that we talked about is so influential when it comes into BR games as well, but not focusing on their backside. They know that no one can be in that particular point of view, so it's all about focusing on the front side. But you also see Tfue currently all blue, except for the bandages, of course, in his loadout for the time. Picks up the nice, is that the Zoom or is that the LMG?
LMG.
Okay, so
I think afar, I'm fairly certain it's the LMG.
Actually, no, it's a Zoom.
He has a Zoom, but he also picked up an LMG, I think, for slot 1.
Okay.
He did, yeah. And this is another reason why I love Tfue so much, is we see time and time again those tax subs in the back pocket, LMG, C4. This guy's lineup, to most people that are looking at the meta, are like, man, what is this guy running this for, bro?
Yeah.
Like, what's he running? Oh, he's running it because he's an absolute monster with any gun that he's got, especially with this many engagements left. All he knows is it's going to be all up close and personal. And Myth is going full-blown pony boy right now on the delicious shopping cart that's in his hands as he just grows in. And, of course, we see a little perspective switch as Hamlin's actually just anamorphed and then came back to being Hamlin's here, sleeves back at it again. Pops another shot as player 645 gets dropped. Another one down. 11 kills now for Hamlin's.
Talking about an absolute beast. Like you said, the sleeve man himself coming in and going massive with 11 kills. And still more players right ahead of him. Now notice the engagements are getting lesser and lesser still. And with that being said, Hamlin's going in, but does avoid the fall, at least a majority of the fall damage, building up with that ramp. But look at the builds now as his defensive building is in fact coming in. Myth in his back pocket will be coming up along with FaZe. And at this point, it's going to start getting extremely chaotic. Hamlin spots the player above. Does he come out of the edit? Yes, he does to get the high ground with the RPG. Goes down with the shotgun blast. Doesn't pick up the kill just yet, but of course he's going to come in thirsty for the kill and gets the knock. Great plays from Hamlin's overall.
Hamlin's and Myth, neither of them are missing any shots today. I mean, every up-close engagement we've seen with the shotgun, it just seems like they're making sure that, once again, they're being patient with those shots, making sure they land and connect with those, especially with the heavy, which I feel like in terms of where the meta was with the pumps, a little bit different. It's something to get used to here for them, and it seems like they're adapting just fine.
And one thing that we noticed, right, we keep talking about, really when it comes down to who is one of the greatest Fortnite players in the game right now, especially regarding the competitive scene. The top two players that are in most people's discussions, mine included, is Tfue and Hamlin's, of course, from FaZe and obviously from TSM as well. Right now, Hamlin's is putting on a show, nearly having as many kills by himself as FaZe combined. FaZe right now have 13 kills. Hamlin's has 12 solely. And, of course, in total for the scoreboard right now, we have 20-13. But for the most part, it's Hamlin's leading the way with over double digits and still bodies to find. 3 remaining engagements still do, or really could, come into play as it looks like maybe the final squad in the midst of Tifu's perspective, tossing out a few of those nades, trying to grab a little bit of the excess damage before they start to try and pounce on him, but he's only got 22 HP. He's living on the edge, and he happens to be jumping for one as well. Gets the knockdown. Fantastic play coming through, trying to go for the recovery builds, making sure he does not take down any excess fall damage.
Wow.
The quick edit takes down another player with a knockdown. Now one more frag remains, and it looks like it's going to be a fight to the end. Who can find it?
Tifu.
And it's going to be Tifu and Myth responding for the final few frags. Of course, in the top left perspective, we see Myth combining for the last frag. So good plays coming in from both of our sides. They do, of course, come through with the victory royale. No official eliminations from this particular game. Saw a few knockdowns, right? We saw Hamlin's go down at one point. I think we saw Tifu go down at one point as well. So definitely was pretty close at certain times. But, right, we talk about players in the clutch. Our pro players, top 2 squads right now in the world, at least in my opinion, in TSM and FaZe. They go big when they absolutely have to, go for the recoveries, and they obviously stay alive toward the end of the game. But 21-15 is going to be our lead heading into game number 2.
Yeah, not a massive lead, but 6 kills still enough, right, to push you forward, especially at this high caliber. We see both of these guys, both teams staying up all the way through the game. At least, of course, they get knocked, but no one dies. So that's kind of rare to see, but it just comes to a testament of how dominant both TSM and FaZe are.
Yeah.
I definitely expect going into this round, we're definitely going to see some splits. We're going to see players split up. Wouldn't surprise me if TSM stay together, but FaZe, I could see them definitely splitting up. That's kind of their style and kind of what they like to do throughout. But or even maybe the 2 teams will stick together, but definitely think they're going to be hounding to try and steal some kills from each other. But it's going to be a close one either way you look at it. And guys in the chat, please let us know, TSM or FaZe, whoever you think is going to take it. But your predictions going into second round, I'm still sticking with TSM. What are you guys thinking?
I mean, I think we have to stick with our initial picks at this point, right? So we
ride or die,
we
baby.
phased up. It's not like there was a preference involved. I just feel like I like the hand gestures at that point. Why not?
True.
You know what I mean? Throw up the phases, okay? Fazoli's.
Fazoli's, okay.
Why is that not a sponsor for them? First of all, let's just point that out there. Just connect the dots, Banks. I got you, bro. Give me a call. You know.
I respect it.
You got to point out, too, regarding this placement for both of these teams. I don't know exactly what placement they would fall in this particular round of the bracket, but for FaZe, it's not top 4. In every single tournament that they've played in, they've placed at least top 4 or higher. I know TSM, I think, might have saw like a top 12 placement or top 8 placement like last week or the week prior. But yeah, both these teams not used to going out this early, and it's kind of sad to see that we had to see them facing off this early in the bracket. Of course, it's late, but for them, it's still early regarding facing off against one another in these particular situations. But yeah, man, I'm still sticking with FaZe, like Legion said. Ride or die, FaZe. But based off that first performance coming in from Hamlin's, I mean, he, to me, absolute difference maker, continually trying to get the height advantage. He even got knocked down at one point and still nearly had as many kills as FaZe did combined with one another, which is pretty insane to think about. But yeah, regarding this, I think next landing zone for both of our squads, I think we're still going to see TSM linger around, maybe Salty Springs, maybe even go more on the outskirts of a certain area because they really don't have to engage as much. Having a 6-kill advantage is a pretty decent one. I think for FaZe, we're not going to see them really split apart. I think they might go Salty. They might maybe even go Soccer or something along those lines. Like I said, 6 kills. I think it's 6 kills, right?
6 kills, yep.
It's not crazy, right? It's a squad and a half. That can be found in a matter of a minute, right, for either of our teams here. Of course,
literally.
Pro squads, top of their game.
Squad and a half.
But yeah, man, I think regarding the landing zones, it's going to be huge as far as like where it's exactly going to be at. Usually Salty's going to be a pretty heavy pick, so it wouldn't surprise me if all 4 guys go Salty. It wouldn't surprise me if TSM wants to kind of maybe go like something like a Shifty, a little bit more out of kilter, not too high engagements. But yeah, I think for FaZe, they need to kind of hang around a Salty, hang around a little bit of the outskirts. But it wouldn't surprise me if we don't see them go to a high populated area. We've seen them in past be down in games like 6, 7, 8 kills, and they still go Shifty, they still go outskirts of certain areas, and then kind of convulge and take games back. So I don't know. Like normal teams are probably being like, okay, maybe we should go Tilted, maybe we should go Salty, like hardcore, maybe even retail. I think for FaZe, they're going to kind of make sure they are keeping up the same strategies and not doing anything too out of kilter, because once they do that, they get out of their momentum, they get out of their game. They've won 2 tournaments for a reason. They've never got out of the top 4 for a reason. And there's a reason why they always make these loser bracket runs, is because they stick to the same strategies and they kind of hold by their guns. And so I think they're going to continue on with what is typical for them. So
I think it just kind of speaks in general to the fact that you don't have to play hyper aggressive off those drops, because we've seen FaZe be down in situations like this. They still land in these less populated areas, and once again, it comes down to that triangle that you were kind of mentioning earlier, just how they're rotating on the map, is they seem to always find right between about 20 and 50 left in the lobby, half those kills. Almost every single time we see them in a match, as long as one of them doesn't go down early, like we saw in the winner's bracket for them, unfortunately, there's going to be a good chance that they're going to be right back into this game. 6 kills, not a big deal. If I'm TSM, I'm landing somewhere less populated, really just trying to make sure that I can even kilter, or I'm doubling up on 1 if they do split.
Yeah, like the final 30 is almost as influential as the original 100 or the original 70, essentially, because of how many engagements you're going to be in that closed area. So
this is going to be very interesting. We are seeing a shifty drop from FaZe boys, and look how many players are going to be dropping. They dropped immediately off the bus, and whenever you're playing casually in public lobbies, a lot of people like to drop off at that initial jump. So they're going to have a lot of potential for kills, but also run the potential of getting killed themselves. So what FaZe does in the early portion of this round is going to make all the difference in this tournament.
And we also see TSM go Pleasant Park. Now, this is not normally a typical strategy from pro teams. From what I've seen, a lot of scrims and whatnot. Teams do not like going Pleasant Park. They're not a fan of it. They think there's a lot of buildings, a lot of excess areas where equipment can be gained from a long range, assault rifles from range in this area as well. It's kind of hard to find cover from time to time unless you're moving from house to house. But like I said, not too surprised to see FaZe go towards shifty shafts. This is kind of an expected pick for them. Like I said, they're holding to their guns. They know what it means to come back in a game like this. But yeah, I do like the pick from TSM, though, in this situation regarding you have a 6-kill advantage. They're still going to a fairly populated place, but nothing too out of kilter. But they need to be very, very wary, right? We talked about early frags, early eliminations in this game are so influential, and both teams have to be super aware when it comes down to early game. Because despite having a 6-kill advantage, you lose your squad mate, you are immediately now in the less preferred situation of the two.
Yeah, definitely so. But like you said, shifty was one of the preferred areas to go to. But honestly, I think they went here simply for the fact that they knew there was going to be a lot of potential for kills. They know how to navigate through shifty considerably well. One of their favorite spots, right? So for them, makes a lot of sense for them to go here. But of course, we are going to see another engagement as well through Myth and getting a great shot with the deagle, but also taking some shots himself.
That's the silenced pistol. That's how much damage that thing does when you get it in full gold. That right there is one of the reasons why you see that in the back pocket of people so often. First of all, I like the attempt with the sticky grenade to try to attach it to him when he comes out of the broken roof. It's just one of those things where you're like, man, did you really just one-tap that kid with it? I mean, insane. Once again, still, silenced pistol. He's got no assault rifle. What's he doing? He's using whatever he's got in the back pocket to stay with an advantage. No more mats left, though, for him. He's got 1, actually. And builds a ceiling just so he has a little shelter from the rain. Once again, he's got the jacket on already, so he should be good.
Hoodie or hashtag hoodie myth. It's a thing in NBA. Hoodie mellow. Now it's Hoodie Myth, baby. He's got the silenced pistol from range. I don't care what anyone says, man. I've been seeing a few commentators even bring this up as well. The silenced pistol is probably one of the best guns in the game from far away range. We're talking about there's not that many suppressed weapons in the entire game. You want to be, off the map, off the radar from long range, but trying to take some pop shots from afar. That's the weapon to do it with, man. You can get like 30, 40 crit damage from a pretty far distance if you get a nice headshot with that thing. It can also take down ramps at ease at certain moments as well. I don't know, man. It's a solid weapon to have. But quickly going back on board with Myth and Hamlin's right now, sitting instead of Pleasant Park, I don't think they were expecting this many engagements, at least off the rip. I mean, they've got 7 kills, and they're the team who obviously has the advantage. This was not an expected, I think, amount of engagement that they were hoping for when it comes down to this zone. But they'll without question take it, right? I mean, this is a great situation for them. You ask, there's a potential, there's like a 20% chance you're going to find 7 frags or you're going to die. They're probably not going to take that chance. They're probably going to go somewhere a little bit more on the outskirts. But it does work out. But on the opposite end here for FaZe, we actually see them entering in toward Tilted Towers, and Tfue quite literally could be lining up 2 frags in his line sights.
And he for sure picks up 1. The second one retreats into the building. And, of course, Tfue is going to be on hot pursuit for that player just ahead. His teammate joining him, of course, Cloaksy being right behind. He's going to push in first. I don't think they were able to pick him up just yet, but they will, in fact, take the high ground, expecting that player to maybe be up here just a little bit, but getting some great inventory loot there as we're seeing coming out of Shifty into Tilted, some more engagements going down, and great strategy. They knew a lot of players were going to jump off the bus. Shifty was a hot zone as well as Tilted, so they had the potential to easily catch up to TSM depending on what happens. But mind you, TSM's not far away from Tilted either. I expect these two teams to meet up quite soon, honestly, as they're going to be looking like they are, in fact, going to be moving towards it.
Now, Tfue and Cloak are now down by 7 kills going into this game, too. and you just saw an entire squad get wiped, right? So you're looking at 35 total engagements left. Tfue and Cloak are definitely going to have to close out. I feel like this is a situation where if you're Myth and Hamlins, you start to kind of follow closely with Tfue and Cloak, trying to go for those kill steals. Definitely something that you see a lot of these pro players doing, but mostly literally probably towards the last 20 engagements, you finally start to see when that circle gets small enough, everybody coming together. As you can see, Tilted's still in the circle after what? This is a third drop now, so definitely going to still be people coming here traffic-wise. For
sure.
whatever reason.
For sure, yeah.
From where? I don't know.
Listen,
From where?
there's always someone inside of Tilted, no matter what, obviously.
You're taking a nap in the basement. We got a shopping cart from Closey, which I think he might have. He's just zooming out of there right now.
He is indeed. Over the water, too. It's
actually a witchcraft. A lot of people don't know that yet. It's a spell now in the game that you can use.
Can you imagine
to float
spells?
through water.
You guys missed that patch that happened about maybe, I don't know, 3 weeks ago? Yeah, they added spells to the
Everybody
game.
has wands now.
Could you imagine them adding spells to the game?
Yeah, that'd be amazing.
Jeez.
You should be able to
Audio
change
cues,
your.
too.
You should be able to buy a skin for your edit board, so you could make it like an Etch-a-Sketch.
That's a fantastic
That would be
idea.
super cool, or like a wand.
Oh, my gosh. That's
Wow.
a fantastic idea.
More
Just saying,
money.
Epic. Credits due whenever, royalties please. I'll take 1 penny per million. So that's still enough. That's like enough for a Snickers, I think.
Absolutely.
Man,
is.
the amount of money I would spend on new things, jeez.
That's for certain.
But hey, stuff still going down. 7 kills still on the board for TSM. Of course, though, FaZe looking to catch up, but they haven't found any more engagements since they've left. They're still sitting at 5. They came in with a deficit, so still at a deficit, but engagements do still remain. 32 still remaining. Zebby pursuing it. Landon, you're looking very passionate. What are you seeing, bud?
Yeah, no, this mountain just outside of Dusty Divot, we see it in the top right of Tfue's screen just for the short time. You see that mountain just outside of Dusty Divot?
Yes.
I like to call that Split Mountain because usually when we see teams like this head into Dusty Divot, that's the matter of like, okay, do we go with the opposite team or do we kind of separate by ourselves? Normally for TSM, they don't like to kind of follow around the opposition. And when you're facing off against a team like FaZe, Tfue is the ultimate kill stealer along with Ninja. I think they're some of the best kill stealers in the entire game. Like regarding pop shots and extra bullet to the body when you need it to happen, they're, to me, some of the best at it in the world. So regarding TSM, they're not normally a team to want to kind of follow, hang by the kind of in the back seat essentially. And also, you don't really want to do it versus a squad like FaZe. So to me, I like that little portion of the map because usually it's like a deciding factor. If a squad is following you, it's like, okay, I'm going to go left, you go right around this mountain, and we'll see if we want to join up at the end point when it comes in a Dusty Divot. But yeah, it looks like regarding our map for the moment, I believe Myth is kind of off by himself. Hamlin's happens to be right inside a Dusty Divot. And for, I believe, Tfue and Cloak is north of Fatal, and Tfue's entering in toward retail. So looks like a little bit of a split coming in from FaZe. Same thing with the TSM boys, not too far away from one another. But yeah, man, Split Mountain, it's a thing. I'm calling it. I don't know if it actually has an official name. It most likely does, but that's my personal little call it for it now, I think.
The FaZe boys need about 2 full squad wipes if they really want to get back into this, and mostly before TSM actually is able to catch up with them on the map here. Eventually, when they do meet up, that's when you start to see some problems evolving for them. But it looks like Cloaksy might actually be able to spot players here on the map, starts to build some walls, some defensive building, and he's just rotating.
As he definitely is. We see another team fight is, in fact, going to be happening. Hamlins is going to be pushing up. This player trying to get the high ground, but Hamlins does a great job getting the high ground on both players and gets a nice 2-piece to extend their lead even more. Hamlins, I'm telling you, has been playing out of his mind, currently sitting at 6 kills alone plus 3. That's 9 on the TSM side as they keep extending their lead. Like you said, they need at least 2 team wipes to get into this game, and now it's going to be even more. The FaZe clan needs to start heating up, but unfortunately, the teams, they're just not running into them.
There are not many players that can do what Hamlin's just did. That quick transition build into finding 2 knockdowns in a row, that was absolute absurd play. The smoothness that guy plays with as well makes it look like it's the easiest thing, but it's absolutely not. Trust me, I have tried hundreds and hundreds of times. It's not easy to do that. But taking a quick look at Cloak right now, I think he has at least 3 forts outside of his overall perspective, doing his very best to stay alive for as long as possible. But here comes the Swarm, has the TAC SMG, trying to do as much damage as he can from afar.
is.
but they're building on top of him. He has no high ground. He has no advantage. And right now, if you're Tfue, you're praying that your squad mate can stay alive, trying to grab the full pot to get himself back to 200 overall health. But here comes the storm.
And he's out of mats, unfortunately, so the players just have to run into him, which they are, in fact, doing. Does he go for the thirst? Yes, he does.
He has no mats.
But he has no mats, as I was saying. So now,
oh my gosh,
he finally
so lucky.
He got mats
Oh
from the
my
player
God.
that he downed, which shows you obviously thirsting was the way to go. Pick
Yeah.
up his mats, and he was able to put up a defensive ceiling there and continue to push the fight to the opponents that are just around him. Of course, though, luckily, or excuse me, that's not even going to be his teammate. That's going to be Myth pushing up, who finally picks up yet another kill. As now Cloaksy is going to be stuck inside this box, healing up, but giving the opportunity to Myth to get even more kills in his back pocket. Gotta say, TSM boys are playing incredibly well.
That's a fantastic play for Myth.
Yeah, this is where you start to see that split kind of go at a complete disadvantage. If Tfue and Cloaksy had been together in that engagement, we always talk about how that kill stealing comes in so clutch in that last 30 players that you've got remaining on this map. Of course, you see Myth come in, drop 2 of those, and then extend their lead by even more. And where is Tfue? He's across the map, no engagements,
Oh my
find nobody, but
gosh.
Myth absolutely botting. I'm telling you, in the losers bracket, I'm pretty sure the TSM guys are one of the scariest teams to see.
Myth just slapped Cloak right across the face. Was like, that's going to be my kill. I'm going to be going and taking that one. Thank you very much. I don't know if Cloak just didn't spot where he was, but props to Myth, right? The intuition to toss out that impulse grenade, launch himself up, goes for the edit after the misbuild quickly. Thankfully finds the kill in the end. But man, talk about skill stealing in that situation. TSM, this is not a strategy that they're known for, but Myth is making it look like he does this on the daily. Absolutely. From the right underneath Cloak, he has a line sight perfectly on one player. Myth just fires through with attack, shotgun, and I think he escapes with 2 or 3 engagement in that situation. But here comes Hamlin's rocking the double pump, trying to find a few players at the top of retail row. Tfue happens to just be on the outskirts, but TSM is finding these kills so effortlessly. FaZe has them in their line sight, but TSM is getting fantastic timing on a lot of these engagements. That's what, 4 or 5 kills that we've seen in the last minute and a half that FaZe absolutely has lines up, but TSM is taking it each and every time.
And at this point, you'd have to get almost every elimination if you're FaZe to even. I literally think it might almost be every elimination at this point. You're looking at 34 to 22, so they've got a total of 14 engagements left in the game here. So 12. Yeah, I mean they could do it, but it would take literally every ounce of. Everybody needs to be funneled into one little area for them to be able to find it. This point.
I just want to point out, by the way, how good I have seen Myth and Hamlin's play thus far with getting the high ground. We talk about how important, and everybody knows this, as Tfue gets dropped, and that's going to be a big momentum boost down as Myth. You see getting another knock as well.
Yeah.
They only needed 2 more to secure, or at least 3 more to secure the victory. But I just want to say, TSM building up both Myth and Hamlin's to be able to get above their opponents, get that high ground is just absolutely phenomenal. And it doesn't matter if they're as a wild bush does appear, and of course that is going to secure the victory as TSM are going to knock FaZe out of this tournament. FaZe, one of the favorites, your favorites coming in. TSM though, I'm right once again. I just want to say, well, I shouldn't say once again. I'm right at least once during this tournament.
I think we were both right an equal amount of times today, which is pretty exciting because I haven't cast or cursed anybody at this tournament yet. You know what I mean?
We were the best team in the last tournament actually because we eliminated so many different
players. It was like
players.
6 or 7 rosters. I think that we.
Oh yeah,
we
were
used our
stomping through
dolls and put curses on, so that was pretty exciting. We have dolls of every player.
I just
during
want to
every
say,
commercial break.
I just want 37 to 22 against one of the best teams in esports competitive Fortnite. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
I just want to say, by the way, TSM showcasing their skills tonight is some of the best plays I have seen them make in our previous tournaments.